on the block. That honor, of course, has been passed down to Anubis. And
Anubis.
A map at this point, Anubis isn't, yeah, for this series at least, because we're not quite there yet on the map. But it's a map at this point that definitely feels like it's been worked out, right? We got teams who know how to play it. We know the executes that are logically available, and we know how it gets going. forZe, however, need to start brushing up on their knowledge a little bit here if they want to make this one competitive. They need a big win to start things off. SAW, of course, starting over on that T side as forZe immediately after getting it picked into them decide that they would like that CT approach. And it's going to be an early pop out of middle from SAW. Smoke towards red to take that initial control. Mid now occupied. As they look to double back, it's a fake over towards B with the bomb working its way up A main.
Yeah, I love being a commentator. I'm always watching all these executes, so I know about them, but I can't actually learn the lineup. Like, you know the smoke, and I'm like, I know of it. Though going to be his way in towards save. They might be having some issues at the moment. It doesn't matter though. Ujirks doesn't need it. It's Roman who got that second kill, but either way, teamwork combining, they've got themselves the bomb site and a bomb plant, and well, very likely the round already because Jerry and Shelfie have given up all hope on this one. They just want to save. Only Kevlar on one player even being carried through. So, I mean, there's not a lot to bring over, but it's not like the retake is winnable either.
It's an ugly old save, to say the least, but a very well-planned execute there from SAW, just leaning into the B-centric approach that is standard on this map and drawing their way in. Giving themselves a little bit of extra room to work with, and from there, well, Ujirks quite happily decapitating a few players, making it look very, very simple, and continuing his domination as Shalfie falls, and that will leave just Jerry saving into the next one. Just those Julies as well. He's going to drop them across, but the economy is absolutely dire.
Two guns, though. Always a net positive, isn't it? Bringing them into mid, though, I don't think that's really the place you play dualies. Maybe, though, if he can catch some players pushing up close, I suppose. Might even push up towards B himself. For now, though, nothing too crazy going to happen. There was a little bit of presence there. He shoots off, decides to fall back, and hopes that it will maybe keep SAW a little bit slower on their default moving forward. It's going to be tough, though. I mean, they're fully in on this round. They only have a few nades behind what is pistols and one MP9. Again, they are pretty much the underdog in this series. Maybe normally they wouldn't be, but without that experience with Klax and Crad, gotta say they are a decent shot, though, by Story. Looks more impressive when you don't have X-ray, but makes it a little bit harder to
It does make it look that little bit cleaner, doesn't it? And it draws that stack out as well. With three players stacked in towards the cave, I could really see this one working for forZe. The SMGs, the Deagles up close and personal, but with that now being drawn out and this instead just turning up to a straight B-site stack, it starts to look a little worse. And what's even worse is that SAW seem to have read this one out pretty clean. They're going to execute into the A site. Completely nobody home at the moment for forZe. Jerry just starting to think about that B lane aggression, but by the time he's got here, it should be T-side players swarming all over this A site. And at that point, you've got a bit of a decision to make if you're forZe. This isn't a bad buy to be saving by any means. You've got 3 Deagles, good armor, an MP9 on Jerry, a little bit of utility burst out as well. So if you don't get a very swift pick, you can make the argument that the save is the better call. And yeah, that looks exactly like what Jerry is going to do here. Picks himself up those Julies as well, so he can drop across and they can get a not awful buy into the next one. SAW, however, happy to keep 5 rifles up, and I can't say I blame him.
No, it will put them in a fantastic position if they can also do something similar in this next round. Knowing that there's going to be Kevlar and pistols again being saved over as well, you don't want to lose anything here. Because even if they sent out their players, I mean, you risk potentially giving them a rifle. So, happy enough to chill. Second round on the board for SAW, and we'll see if the turret comes with it. It should. But forZe at least have given themselves the opportunity to keep that pressure on. And they will need to, because so far it is 0 kills in their tally. It's not good.
It's not a great look. I mean, you can forgive them on that one. They went for a heavy stack over towards B, got disassembled just about enough. SAW read the play, so it's one of those. It is what it is. Regroup, have another crack. Nice nade to open it up from Jerry, and he will be able to open his account here on Ancient. Few jerks at the very least is there, well spaced for the quick trade, but it's some nice damage to start this round off from forZe. That's exactly what you're looking for when you've got these kind of scraggly half buys with Deagles and SMGs. You want to be making sure that you can just chip away at the opposition, make it a little bit easier for your teammates. Maybe just tag a man up, find a quick kill and make this viable, but SAW again doing a really solid job showing some early mid presence, making sure the rotations can't be too swift from forZe. And well, they've made the call at the worst possible time here as the execute's starting to come in. You can see Klax has rotated out to mid. Crad, the only player in A, and he was working his way around the back line, so it's a completely unoccupied site once again for forZe. They're thanking their lucky stars, and well, Story's thanking his. There's a clean headshot through the smoke, deals with Crad. And at this point, again, it's a round that they'll probably look to save, grab the armor into the next, and it's 3-0 to SAW on the T side of Ancient, no less.
Jerry did at least manage to pull off a kill this time around, but is just the one. And I do believe it was a Galil, am I right?
I think they've swapped it around. Yeah, I'm not 100% no, so I won't back it.
Either way, it wasn't recovered by forZe, which would be kind of the main thing they would have been hoping for. So yeah, the main 3 AKs left standing. Another pretty clean round for SAW, and get a feel for how the game is going to start going now, really coming into this next gun round. Should have pretty much everything they could ask for. Op-wise, though, they want a would-be glass cannon. I'm not too sure if they're going to bother with it. No? Okay, Zorti's happy too.
It's been dropped it. They do manage to scrape it together, a little bit of quick maths. Does mean, again, slim pickings for a couple utility-wise. Klax, Crad, the two struggling the most. And it is sacrificing head armor as well, which normally up against the T side, not an issue. Galil in the hands of Just makes it a little bit more dangerous than it otherwise would be. And that is a desperately dangerous peek from Crad. Story ready and waiting to punish it with the AWP. Early man advantage gained again for the T side here. And well, Jerry's playing with fire. Needs to be very careful in and around that cave. Can't afford to go 2 down this early on in the round.
Already even just being down by the one man makes things so much more difficult for them with such a lack of utility as well. The pressure is on for forZe to make the play right now, and SAW, as you can see, are mostly set up to try and punish once that happens. Outside B, that's the case anyway, and that looks like it is where we're going to see the presence coming through eventually. It's the Galil that's holding that distance. I was going to say not really the weapon you want, but never mind. Plenty for Just. He doesn't need the AK. Klax will pull back one eventually on this A bomb site. I was going to say the bomb now on its way back in this direction as well, so maybe it was a bit preemptive there for him to push through a little bit too early. They'll decide to rotate it back towards B, as well as those couple players that were chilling around mid. Interesting smoke as well. Leave the cut rotations off.
Now. That's
Did
not
it fail?
Hit its mark, has it?
Yeah.
That's well off. I think they're hoping that Shalfie will get his vision cut, and that'll give him something to work with, but just not to be, as now the B execute comes in, and Zorte with a lot to do here. There will be a rotation, but it's slow. It's that AWPer alone on site for now, and he's got his back turned. No idea he's exposed. UJS gets the freebie, and he grabs the double through the smoke as well. SAW limited time on the clock, but they land it perfectly. That's so cleanly made, as they grab a 4th round on the board, and at this point they can really start hunting. They've done well to preserve their economy so far, so they can start to throw a couple of AKs into the mix to see if maybe we can take this last rifle away as well.
Yeah, they don't have to be quite as cautious anymore. I would imagine they're going to hunt Klax pretty aggressively. Story's the only one who wouldn't really have the money to justify it, and he's got his op, so he wouldn't be going for it either way, so it definitely would be worthwhile. Klax wouldn't upgrade to an AK even. They're moving pretty slowly, so I don't know if they'll even make it in time. He might just be able to save based on that fact alone. Yeah. So an AK at least getting carried through, but it's not enough for a full buy. Only really Shelfie could full buy. Klax would drop one, and then you'd have a couple of masses in there. I mean, they might go for it. They might be able to justify it to themselves, but it's a risky buy at this scoreline. And I think, yeah, they'd prefer the half investment considering they are coming into the full loss bonus in this next round.
Still get a decent amount of toys to play with as well with this half buy. Deagles, 5.7s,
Good
MP9
nades.
again in the hands of Jerry. Decent utility as well, yeah. It's not the world's worst buy. There's certainly potential behind it. Problem is, thus far, nothing has really broken the back of SAW. Nothing's really put them under any pressure. They've been cleanly working their way through the map control. Aggression out A seems to be the call. Flashes over the top for Clax, trying to get that AK-47 activating early, and he does get all of that control for free. Nobody spotted, starts to call it out, but without clearing Zed as well, it's a limited amount of info for the CT side to work with, and you can see it. The response isn't as strong as it would be on other maps. Still sticking with 2 players in towards the donut. Trying to get that rifle singing, though. They're trying to put him in positions to find impact. Thus far, SAW avoiding it, but they are starting to pinch in towards this mid control, and there's a heavy old presence here for the CT side now. 2 in towards red, 2 in donut. An absolute massacre if they make their way out, and at the moment, the bomb is actually in the back of Story. Looking for exactly that. MUTiRiS caught nade in hand. Clax finds a double, and this is disastrous now for SAW. Just not able to find the shot he's after. Will be able to tap away at 1, but that bomb is down in no man's land. And with just 40 seconds left on the clock, forZe can swarm on it. They should be able to hold this.
Yeah, this is easily the best position they've had themselves. The flank from Jerry down that B ramp is perfect as well. Even just delaying an extra 5 seconds there is just as to keep an eye behind themselves. The B250 at long range. It's Crad who pretty much puts the seal on this round, I would imagine. Roman doesn't have the time to just sprint it towards that B-bomb site without running into Jerry, and Jerry decides to just run into him either way with an MP9 run and gun. And forZe come alive off the back of a minimum investment with a saved rifle and some pistols. That's one way to get going, compared to the fact that they had only a couple of kills really combined between them before that round. The question is now, can they build off of that? Because they haven't quite broken the economy of SAW. And even after this one, there'll be enough just barely for a few of the players to buy once again, especially if they can get a bomb plant, so they would very likely go for it. So the pressure's going to stay on.
Question is, what can they do to alleviate it? Fast play up to donut from SAW, and they've got the control. Very passive angle from Zorte, just holding towards long, so not going to be able to do anything at all about this pop out of donut. He's going to charge Brokey, trying to get something done, finds the pick. Able to retreat as well, which is a nice little bonus. That bomb's still a long way away from SAW as well. They've jumped the gun ever so slightly here. Story only just starting to work his way into the site as boosts are assembled left, right, and center. Clax wants this control, but he's not quite spotted through the smoke. Roman still finds one, but now they swarm, looking to isolate these individual fights on the site is Shalfie. And it leaves Story and just in a horrendous position now. The AWP completely smoked off, just on the mother of all flanks, but Crad, he was waiting for it, and he's still able to react in time, leaving just his AWP with so much time on that bomb as well. Crad will just set himself in the angle. He's looking for the defuse, holds it down, makes sure he's as difficult to hit as possible, and at this point, it's just not going to work out for Story. Isolated in the donut, he'll be picked off by Zorti as well. And forZe, well, they do survive the storm.
Yeah, I mean, it looked a little bit dangerous when they had the 3-man kind of caught around the push back towards spawn there. Thankfully, somehow the initial spam on the boost didn't quite work out. You only caught the player in the corner. They were able to trade it, and from there we've seen how it went. Just good usage of the utility and playing off each other. Not really giving any chances at all to the off. I was covering the Asian games earlier, and I got used to everyone just peeking one by one. So that round would have played very differently if it was this morning. Good kill from Jerry, though. Forced jerks forward, who actually got slightly blinded by Story somehow. Not sure it affected him too much. Either way, it's not only the initial duel that they lose, but also a ton of damage that just takes.
Yeah, since they've got the rifles out, forZe are starting to find their feet here. As you said, early pick, good damage.
They found their feet. I don't think you can see their feet when you look down this game.
There's the dad joke of the day for anyone who was looking to keep track. Dean insists on making at least one a broadcast. And I will never give him a laugh. It will never happen. Roman, looking to pull off an bit of an impossible round here as well. MUTiRiS has worked his way around this smoke, and there is going to be timings all over the shot for Shalfie, but MUTiRiS is only half aware, still able to react in time, and now that B bomb site starts to become an issue again. Crad was boosted, looking for it, dives into cave, and Roman is ready and willing to punish. Clax on the panic rotate, has managed to find MUTiRiS though, and that starts to make this look very one-dimensional once again. 3 players for SAW in towards the cave. They're just going to have to pop straight on out into this, and Jerry out in no man's land won't be able to do a thing. Roman with the beheading, and at this point, 2-on-3, this retake starts to look real nasty. There's no util at all, a solitary flash to try and get somebody into an angle. And with Roman already starting to think about some aggression out towards long, he's just going to charge the AWP down. The punish comes in, and Story's able to finish the job. SAW finding their winning ways once again.
Yeah, this is the problem, really. The initial 4-round burst for SAW gives them a bit of comfort here to just grind out around every now and again and still likely manage to come out with 7 or 8, even if they don't do all that well from here on out. Let alone if they do get the pace going once again, you can see them in double digits pretty easily. So forZe definitely don't want to let this get out of control, and all of the money that they built up throughout those 2 rounds has been spent here to get the purchase back in. So while they do have everything they could ask for now, they have to make it work for the win, otherwise things are going to really spiral out of control. Interesting that they've gone so heavy here on mid as well on the forZe side of things. Leaving Jerry alone, I believe, in towards the cave for the moment. So that could have been risky if it was an early B play. Thankfully, it wasn't. And with that, they've allowed themselves to keep the early mid control with a deep smoke. And well, now we'll see exactly what the play is. They're just going to resort back into a fairly standard hold.
Heavier over towards A than I'd normally think. But yeah, SAW playing it slow. To be fair to forZe, that mid control has been by far their most successful round so far. As Jerry, a little bit of wayward spam, does find its connection onto Story. So looking for that control again, and a little bit of a gap in the smoke, abused well. The damage exchanged, however, as both Clax and Shalfie chew on it. 36 HP between the 2 of them now. The problem for SAW is, where do you want to end this one up? With 2 players still aggressive in towards Jaguar, this starts to get really ugly. Zorte needs to hit the shot and does, and that's bomb right into the claws, with Jerry still lurking, still waiting, still fragging. 2 quick kills, and at this point the round should be done and dusted. Just 30 seconds left on that clock, and well, he's got to find this pick onto Jerry if they want any chance, and it's just an impossible angle for him to really get anything done. Crad will start to work his way into this backstab. The timing is impeccable, and this should, for all intents and purposes, be a 3rd round on the board for forZe.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a reminder that even though forZe, of course, may not be as solid of a team unit, they have the individuals. And it might not even necessarily be Jerry that you'd normally look towards, but very solid round from him right there, putting the foot down pretty much in cave after he found it, like we said. It's just been bought back up in eco, most likely. There should be some pistols. I'm surprised we're not seeing any investment. Story, I suppose, not wanting to spend too much. We'll just go for a P250 and a smoke. So, yeah, minimal investment. Only 1 player even bothers with the Kevlar. This one should be straightforward enough for forZe. It's looking like a quicker A play, or at least the initial few seconds were looking like it was being taken towards main. Not as fast as I thought it was maybe going to be. They do have some utility that they want to toss in first. But right now, Clax is alone back towards Dona. So with the smoke going down here, if they can either force him forward to the smoke and trade him out 1-for-1 or something along those lines, then suddenly it becomes winnable. And they actually take Clax out without a single loss. It's only afterwards that Shalfie manages to take the player around the edge of the smoke there. But a 4-on-4, a bomb plant, it's already a decent eco. Let's see if they can get a couple more kills, and who knows, maybe even a round win.
Roman's in a nice position to do just that. A little bit of over-aggression, however, will be punished. And now with just the pistols, they're starting to become disassembled. It is onto Roman, really, with that rifle to get it all done. Zorte's been dinked up, and it makes it interesting, but there's nothing those pistols can do. A little bit more firepower, and you would have backed them to hold on to that site, but forZe will come in with the retake. Couple of kills is not a bad look at all, however, and getting that bomb down as well. Nice little economic injection for the T side to keep them buying into the next.
Yeah, the only positive. Wouldn't really happen again, though, since they only get 2400 loss bonus, so even with a bomb plant, they'd likely be looking at an eco if this one doesn't work for them. It's forZe's chance though to tie up the scoreline, likely get the lead going even, so see if they can make it happen now. A lot of utility towards it. A lot, I mean almost everything they had. I think every player bar one might have thrown something at least there.
Good spam damage to counter though. MUTiRiS just taking the bulk of it. Jerk's taking some nades down the ramp as well. Just wanting SAW to make sure that there's no mid control this time for forZe. It's been where a lot of their success has come, and it's this time it's come at the cost of control in towards Cave, and they've got no idea at all. MUTiRiS gets a freebie and he spots Jerry out. Somehow Jerry's still good for one. Should have been done and dusted, but he just about manages to hold on to a kill. With the bomb on the back of the AWP, Story still to get to the site, but as he does so, he deals with the last man of the resistance. Shalfie goes down. For Klax and Zorte at this point, yeah, only one course of action, and that's to try and hide those rifles as deep into the depths of Ancient as you can. Zorte would be able to drop across at least one, if not two. Make sure you're buying into the next, but a 6th round on the board for SAW, and almost exactly like you said, Dean, they've built up that extra bit of economy, so, and with that 4-round initial burst, just scraping around every now and again is all SAW really need to do on a map like Ancient.
At least with the saves here, the buy is easily coming back out, and they might even have a little bit of money left over, but it's also good for SAW that they're able to come back in with a fairly commanding round as they do grind out this one extra for themselves. Only losing ESL, I believe, so he'll be dropped pretty easily. They'll have a chance to also build their own economy, so it does just mean that you're likely looking towards more gun rounds than ecos, which is always fun. The economy's never really truly been fully broken. And we have two teams that are also, well, at least in the case of forZe, are fairly willing to force buy. Especially when they know their opponents are still in a weak position. Again, smoke down on mid, not as much in terms of utility. They're not sending the same presence this time around. They're instead going to find aggression in from B there. It's forZe who've pushed all the way up. Actually splitting it to peek one player slightly down towards the outside of B, but they're more focused on the mid control. Yeah, they sent Jerry around. Didn't find anyone though, so they're probably going to revert back to a fairly standard setup. Never mind, Story got boosted up outside of A. I didn't realize they were already so aggressive here. Apparently neither did forZe. Klax will be good for the trade, but it doesn't look like it's the full commitment, and that may have actually pulled the rotations. Yeah, they're not ready really to capitalize on this, though. That's the issue.
It had initially completely pulled the rotate. Now, though, with the reaction coming in, they're actually going to go for some mid-presence over on the forZe side of things, see if they can get a little more. That's a wonky old mid-smoke as well. Huge gap in it. Story being hung out to dry somewhat at the bottom of mid. They have started to work out now that the B bomb site is relatively clear. You've still got Krad slinking around in the backlines, but he's caught off timing. From here, it starts to go from bad to worse. They're spotted on the rotation. Shalfie dinked up by an AK down to 13. And as the bomb swarms the site, that CT side have got to get so far through here. Just has tucked himself in towards short, and he's holding up the whole army at the moment. Klax will find one, however. And UJerk's afterplant position is not great at all here. Playing inside of the site itself leaves you vulnerable. Story has at least worked his way down that ramp, but we need at least a couple of kills out of UJerk's here to make this viable. He's only got the one. The damage at this point is irrelevant. Both of these players tagged to within a couple of bullets of a rifle, but it's Story, big green in hand, to try and do it all, and he can't quite land the shot. Shalfie will get that defused through. A 5th round scrambled together by forZe. It's by no means convincing, but they won't care about anything except that number at the top of the screen ticking up.
It's fairly close on the defuse as well, I believe. But yeah, as you said, that was close health-wise. What, 17 on Jerry, 13 on Shalfie, a bullet either way, and it would have been SAW's round. Unfortunately for them, that doesn't happen. As I mentioned, they only had, I think it was 1,900 loss bonus, or even 1,400. So their money with the bomb plan, thankfully, is just about there for the buy. But lacking an AK on Roman, if they lose this one, then they're definitely looking at an eco. That will be forZe heading up towards 7. So again, another chance for the CT side to get a streak of rounds going, which has eluded them so far. MUTiRiS, all right, he's bypassed 2 players, I believe, on mid. They surely know he's made his way towards Donut, though. And with low health, he should be a relatively simple trade, although it's Zorti with the op who's focused on this area, so it scares me a small bit. And they've crept on the B.
But look at Shalfie. Shalfie's taken advantage of it and has actually crept himself in towards mid. Oh, this is chaos. They've still got to deal with the player in towards cave as well. Story will just about take him down. He gets a miracle double there, Jerry. And it will be enough to tempt forZe into giving this retake a crack as well. A little bit more utility this time. Couple of Molotovs, single smoke to try and isolate these angles. Story and Roman both very much in one-on-one peaks. As that bomb starts to tick down with no defuse kit visible, time becomes their friend. The smoke will go to the ramp. Roman have to play around it, but he's got Story still tucked in towards this cave. Molotov goes in to flush him out, but he gets one before he goes down, and Roman is there to trade his death. It's a beautifully executed round, despite the chaos of the cave peak. SAW find their 7th, and, well, it's a bad old 7th to lose as well for forZe. Look at their economy. They're going to be decimated here.
Yeah, I think what happened there was ESL managed to step in front of his teammate and kind of get shot up by him a bit, which reduced the damage of the bullets going through him on towards Jerry, and then Jerry, because of that, just sprays down 2 of them. It shouldn't have been as close as it was, but I mean, the main thing for SAW is that they did manage to win the round. Now they put forZe onto a very shaky buy. MUTiRiS spams down Shalfie through the smoke. Apparently it wasn't through smoke, so he might have had a tiny gap that he's seeing it on. What a flick from Zorti. Needed to be fast as well. Got packed up himself. 1-for-1 trade keeps them in the standing for the round. Jerry takes a tiny bit of spam damage there. Will be forced back.
This is an awkward one. Klax is going to get a freebie.
And an AK.
Grabs the rifle as well. Gives his team the man advantage. Goes back for more and doubles it. Klax looking to be a one-man army here out towards A main. And, well, if they can catch a timing down this ramp as well, that could be game over for the T side. ESL has managed to work his way again into the cave, but this time they're conscious of it, and even an unfortunately timed scope isn't going to be enough to take him down, as it leaves just in the 1-on-3. He knows about the vulnerable positions. He hears the Molotov burning. Needs a quick scope here, though, because they are going to charge him down, giving him no room to breathe on that orb. Smoke goes in. He tries to play around it, but he's being charged down by Jerry, who's having none of the antics. forZe able to find the recovery with the scrappy biding.
Yeah, I shouldn't really be surprised at this point. It seems like both teams just managed to overcome the odds just to ensure that it stays as close to neck and neck as possible. We're likely coming out with an A7 half. The question is who can find it. forZe, they need 2 more in a row if they wanted to make that happen. That seems impossible with how it's been going. That'd be a total of 3 in go, and I don't think they've done that yet. But yeah, they should have this one in fairness, and with this being the force buy as well, that makes things a little bit easier in the next one. So chances are actually pretty solid of coming out with the 8.
On to Klax here. Get a lot of the heavy lifting done. Playing behind the big box. He'll scream for the rotate. The smoke's popping down, but he's isolated. The mid fight's awkward, but Jerry wins it, and they haven't actually cleared the big box whatsoever here. Klax should have free reign, but he's losing teammates, and he's lost his life as well. 2 quick kills, and the Tech-9 up close and personal, continuing to do work. This was the freebie, and instead it's a 1v2 for Jerks. A fading smoke gives him his first, and he spots out the AWP as well, but he can't quite land it. Zorte with the heroics for forZe as, oh my goodness, that round so nearly slipped clean through their fingertips.
Yeah, I mean, it was ESL though who got all of it done at 3k for himself. That Tech-9 worked out fantastically. It was just a little bit awkward the way the bomb was planted, and he didn't know where the second player was at either. Otherwise, he probably would have fallen back, or even pushed out into the bomb site rather than fallen back a couple of steps as he did once he got that initial kill in the 1-on-2. So it's unfortunate, considering what SAW went into the round with. They done relatively well, and thankfully the bomb at least going down does give them some assistance here. They have 2 rifles in play, 1 AK, 1 Galil, and a bunch of MAC-10s. Well, they're going to find immediate contact here in main. Klax pushed forward again, this time with assistance. It's ESL he finds initially on the contact. The MAC-10 will trade, and, well, apparently he doesn't expect Zorti still up close, even though Zorti already had a kill on Just.
That is some sort of miscommunication, yeah. And there's the punishment. Simple stuff, but it's 8-7 as we head to the halftime break. forZe with the narrowest of leads. A scrappy old first half, but one that has put SAW firmly in the driving seat here. Just one round the difference, and they've managed to scrape together 7 on their T side as forZe look to start their account. Well, almost immediately, Dean. We are looking at some rapid fire aggression from both sides here. Down the lane, it's MUTiRiS taking the early pickings, but he will be quickly traded, and now it starts to get just a little bit ugly. They've lost their Z control, and this is turning into absolute carnage.
Yeah, chaos indeed, and it doesn't look like I want to relent that aggression at any point. It get worse and worse. The desperation just went up really. And at no point did things get any more successful. A great pistol round from forZe. They have a chance now to separate and actually build up a bit of a lead for themselves against what is a pretty weak force buy here as well from SAW. So take this when they're on 10, and 11th round likely comes with it. Take the first gun round, they would be flying. You need to remember, of course, this is SAW's map choice. We looked at this as being one that really they shouldn't have too much trouble on. That hasn't been the case so far. I do wonder if unpredictability of what roster they were actually going to play against maybe makes things a bit harder, perhaps.
I mean, we do talk about them as a very tactically minded team, right? Making up for perhaps some slight lacking in firepower with, you know, this now's knowledge of how to play together, and coming up against an unpredictable entity can make that a little tougher, you know? If you don't know what opponent you're facing, how do you prep for them, and how do you prep for that crowd clean through the smoke with some early pickings? And as the mid control starts to come through, really nobody home for the CT side.
Just the one player towards Dona who really shouldn't be able to get too much done. He actually does bail back out towards the bomb site just before they move in. That's likely for the best. At least then he has the option of saving the 5-7. Might be able to hold for a moment and see if his teammates can get in position and maybe punish a couple players if this push does come through slowly, which it's taken its time. Only because
they've got the firepower here.
Oh, okay.
What do they do with it? Okay, Roman able to grab at least one, but it's a whiffy old shot for the second, and he won't quite find it. And now this is starting to really fall apart. Story able to get one more. Very quickly, it is done and dusted. Nothing really doing in that one for Soren. I mean, I'm with you, Dean. I would have been backing away, probably saving those for another day, because once you've got that A site, it is so tough to retake at the best of times for a CT side, right? Let alone when you're on 5.7s and MP9s.
Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty promising, though. The initial kill, the 2 players that pretty much weren't looking at him then afterwards either, as they were being distracted by the push onto the bomb site itself. So I was hopeful that they were going to actually make something happen from it, but it is unfortunate, as you said. Even with the rifles, it's a tough enough retake. Nicely timed model. MUTiRiS also 8 and nade, I think. Just in sync with that. So, yeah, second nade even in from Crad there in the end. So it is destruction across the board. It's the 11th round as we were expecting to be found there for forZe. It really will come down to whether SAW can come alive now in this next round with the guns. Another kill would be nice here also, though. Just not to let forZe's economy get completely out of hand.
Yeah, they've been pretty solid at that, to be fair, SAW. Just chipping away, even in these sort of rounds, right? Taking a rifle or 2, making it that little bit more expensive. But with bomb going down, this should be a done deal. But Xiaofi is going to overextend just a little bit, and that will be the kill. So good damage, and that's actually an AK-47 as well, which Story very rapidly realizes he's going to want to try and hide. Roman just lurking around a little while longer. Will look to play bodyguard for his teammate as well. Try and make sure he can at least buy a little bit more time. Story on 13 HP as well. The more he can do, the better. And it looks like it's going to be a shake of hands towards the death of the round. forZe with the 3 rifles up, not wanting to commit anymore. And, well, Story with that AK in hand, not wanting to lose it. So an 11th round on the board, the lead at 4 for forZe. And like you said, SAW getting into their CT side, these rifle buys are going to have to start working really quickly for them.
Yeah, they might have an AK at least to assist. We'll have an AK, rather. It's always nice. The op comes out for Story as well. So yeah, they have everything they could ask for, but What is the plan? Are we going to see any initiative taken, or are they going to just allow forZe again to control the pace of this round? Thankfully, with all the damage that they've done there is no bonus round really for forZe, and that's even with 2 Galils being kept in play here. There's only 2 players who really could buy. Be a bit of a stretch for Shalfie unless they got the bomb plant. So big chance for SAW to come back to life, to get themselves right back in, take this, then beat a shaky buy in the next round at best. Suddenly they're on their feet again. And they had damage there on Brad. Will they follow it up with a swing? Jerry is here, but he's not really in position to immediately trade.
Just a little bit of a seesaw for this opening control. Mid is conceded and through the wall. Not a wall bang you normally see going the CT side's way, but they make it stick, and huge damage is put out by the HE to follow it up from MUTiRiS. At this point, it's gone from bad to worse for forZe. 3 players tagged up, all now within a one-shot headshot for any of these M4s. What do you do if you're forZe? You've lost your initial pick. You're losing your B control as well, as SAW not willing to let sleeping dogs lie, and they catch their timing beautifully. forZe goes down. Jerry is lost to the swarm. Clack's at least able to get 1 back, but again, severely lacking in any kind of map control. They've only got Scaffold, just about clinging onto mid for the time being, but Story is going to try and put an end to that as well. And with just 35 seconds left on the clock, how do you even get this one going now? There's bodies everywhere. It's a slaughter for SAW. And with 3 quick kills, they've got their first rifle buy cleanly.
Yeah, off the back of an initial kill, that was just a crazy wallbang from Jerks as well. So a bit of fortune finally going the way of SAW. That didn't really seem to be the case anytime prior in this game. So maybe a good sign for what's to come here on their CT side. As I said, 1 more kind of iffy buy as well that they have to crack through before they really get going. It's actually better than I thought it would be, though, in terms of weapons, at least. A lot of utility behind it, but they have 4 AKs, so SAW definitely do still need to be cautious. This is a round that they could lose. Bit of mid-aggression. It's only a Tech 9 outside B, actually, so that aggression there might have been a good call if he had continued with it, rather, just to confirm the control.
Looking for the A pop, and there's a good amount of presence here for the CT side as well. That fast rotation is available, but they've lost their anchor. Story goes down far too easily, and now it is onto those early rotations. Roman and MUTiRiS to get it done, and well, they do. 4 quick kills, nothing forZe could do. That lack of utility really coming back to bite them, as it's just clear sightlines all over the shop for the CT side, and Jerry last up. Not in a great position here. A Tech 9. At least he's got armor, but all of these fights now are looking decidedly long range, and with the bomb inside of the A site as well, he's got no choice but to start taking them. Should be a 9th on the board for SAW. That gap starts to narrow even further, and I think we start to see just what SAW would have been expecting to pull out on this CT side, looking pretty clean as those rifles have become available.
Jerry's gone. So yeah, Aniko is going to have to come in. 4 players standing here in this round as well. A bit of a cleaner one from SAW. They're really starting to build their economy. And this is the turnaround that they needed straight away on this CT side. Looking much, much better. We shouldn't even really see pistols being upgraded. Having a look at the economy for forZe. I'd imagine most of them will stick to the Glocks. Not really by choice. Should have double digits for SAW in just a moment. And the fact that the forZe even are making this as competitive as it is, rather, is a bit surprising. And they definitely can get going once again, but we did come into this game expecting SAW to be the favourites pretty heavily here on Ancient. So I think if they get towards that 11-11 scoreline, at that point forZe are going to be sweating a little bit. And it's starting to slip away from them, even though the scoreline, of course, will be pretty much just on par.
I think CT side is as it is at the moment, and a couple of NAF pistols going against you, this isn't an awful scoreline, right? It's one of those ones that's a little deceptive. If you lose the pistols, it's very easy for a few rounds to get springboarded up on you. And this T side, once the rifles have become available for SAW, has not really done anything of note just yet. They have still got more opportunities, but so far it has been one-way traffic, and SAW will be looking to keep it that way as well. Looking to post double digits on the board here. a handful of Glocks, as you said. The economy really just decimated for forZe, not able to buy any more than that. And that's what you get given for free. So as they try and maybe just creep that bomb out towards the A site, this time it's Roman rather than Story, perhaps hoping that it's the AWP and they can isolate those fights, but not to be. Zorte does bait the shot out of the AWP over on B, but it's not quite enough. And now Shalfie trying to do it with the Glock has managed to isolate Roman quite well here and will get at least one. The problem is they know exactly where he is and they know exactly where to find him as he loses his final teammate to the P250 of Story. It's a dink and no more. So 4 rifles up. Not a bad look at all for the CT side as that gap at just 1 round. And these rifles, well, they're working brilliantly for SAW. They need to start clicking for forZe.
We haven't seen anything kind of faster paced in a while from forZe. They've been playing slow defaults out in each of these gun rounds, so I'd like to see them try and change that up. The only issue is now that they've allowed for the economy to build up so much on SAW, that they have so much utility to work with, that you're going to see the early mollies, early nades and such coming in to stop those quicker rushes. They might get away with it for 1 round though. See, doesn't seem to be the call.
Lean. They're leaning on it. 4 players outside of the B site. Just 1 Shalfie lurking, and they are just going to creep the ramp here. It's just going to be a pop on timing, and it's caught U-Jerks completely unaware. Story now trying to catch them on the cross, and he gets his second. Jerry goes down, and that buys time for Just to work his way back out a dig with a perfect flashbang in to find Clax. And that team play again, working out brilliantly from SAW. They have allowed Shalfie out. That's the only potential thorn in the side of this CT side at the moment. Shalfie has managed to take temple control. Apparently just nestled into the corner. The bomb a long way away, but he can just sit and wait. Once his teammate gets a little closer, Zorti may need some kind of assistance, and Shalfie now starting to think about it. Will be a battle of wits up against Roman, and he's lost it. Now with 50 seconds left, Zorti is left in not a particularly fun position. He went out of the B control because Shalfie called that he got A, and then Shalfie's gone down on A, so he's got nothing. Gonna try and maybe work his way out of middle. See if there's a pick to be had with 35 seconds on the clock, though. He needs a couple of very quick kills to get himself anywhere near this one.
I mean, it may just be worth attempting to save, in fairness. Even then, he'd be mismatched with everyone else on his team who won't be able to afford to buy. If he could somehow get a plant, it would be a miracle, and it would give them the ability to at least scrape together the investment. With 8 seconds, that is not happening. He has MUTiRiS on the bomb site to deal with. That's the bomb. That leaves him with no time, so even if he got the kill there, the best he would have been doing was saving, and unfortunately that doesn't happen. Silver lining, dies before the time runs out. Always nice.
I mean, it's something, but the fact that we're talking about that as a silver lining is not a particularly great look.
Back to the half buy again. Clax, I presume, is going to upgrade his pistol as well. Alright, surely at least with a buy like this, they go quickly. Sorty's also sticking to the Glock. Clax did eventually upgrade, but it's just weird. Bought quite a few nades.
I think they want to pop this B site again. They're hoping that maybe this time they catch a couple of players off guard rather than just the one. A little bit of utility into mid to keep the rotations honest. Hope that they draw a couple players in the right direction, and then they start to swing over the top, see what they can get done. It's a rough old spray from U-Jerks, and that does allow them up. Just is there with him, but they're not sure they want to commit to it just yet. U-Jerks able to swing freely. Catches crowd alone up the B ramp. It looked like they were set to pop in there. The utility went. Instead, they doubled back. They hung crowd out to dry, and now as the second batch of util goes over the top, they're going to try and actually double back entirely, fake this one out, but MUTiRiS is ready and waiting in towards the donut. He's got an absolute firing range, 2 quick kills, and this one has been gutted. MUTiRiS last up. He's got Story to back him up. It's the lead for SAW, and well, that one just looked like it was a little bit devoid of a plan when things started to go wrong, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they had the weaponry to back it up or anything, but still. It's a little bit heartbreaking. As I said before, they don't even really have the option to move quicker into B. They were attempting really to go as fast as they could because they have to bait out the initial few nades as well. So So I think bait out those initial few nades, leave some presence elsewhere as well in these early stages, and then move back for the later B execute. Although that will work as well. Zorti just charges forward through a molly into cave with the op as well. What's this, 2014? Imagine the 2014 op on Ancient. Roll it back for the old patches. We need to get show matches on the old op patch or something.
I don't think Zorti's even old enough rather to know what the 2014 AWP was like, mate.
I've
managed to thread the needle here, though. Off the back of that opening pick, heavy B stack comes in from SAW. forZe work their way out onto A, and this is the round near enough done, to be honest. 12 all. Finally, the rifle starts singing for forZe, and it's off a little bit of magic, you have to say, from Zorti.
Surprised bomb sites opened so much that they just didn't believe it. They were like, surely someone's here. It took them ages to actually plant the bomb. Oh, Zorti still lurking in cave, rather. I was going to say was getting wrapped on by you jerks, but he had no idea there was a player still there. Fortunately, he won't survive with the op, so that's going to be a pretty expensive loss. But as you can see, forZe are giving some back in the other direction as well, taking weapons out of the hands of SAW, who can afford it a little bit more, though. So I don't think forZe want to hunt anymore now that especially they've actually already recovered the op for themselves. So a decent round, 4 standing once again for forZe. But a single round will not be enough. It's going to take 2 more at least before they actually break through the economy of SAW as well. So really, they're not going to have any easy rounds until they get towards 14.
And that's the problem now for forZe. You know, we talked about SAW in that first half. They built themselves a platform and then they just scraped occasionally, right? Not too frequently, not too spectacularly, but they just knocked off a round every now and again, kept them ticking over. forZe have not got such a luxury. It needs to work, and it needs to work consistently if it is going to get them anywhere in map 1. Crad burning in a molly behind a smoke goes down to 60 to open things up, and that starts to leave him very vulnerable to the HEs, which stack up brilliantly. Justin, you jerks. A little bit of a fortuitous one, but without seeing a man, they find themselves the opening they were after. From here, SAW just looking to stabilize things. Still inside of that cubby is the AWP. Isolated now, though, and they're starting to try and back him up, but Jerry is up to the task. Roman able to at least grab a pick to keep his AWP alive, and it's a leg, but no more from Story. A kill that could well have decided the round, not quite connected. And at this point, it becomes absolute carnage as Jerry is ready and waiting for this aggression into the cave. Should be traded, but just about ducks the corner and gets even more. Jerry with a quad kill. And forZe, well, I wouldn't say it's a consistent way to find rounds, but they're getting them. They're stitching them together, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, I was terrified. If Jerry went down, Zorti had like 10 health left with the bomb as well. Running up to the bomb site, they would have been in a lot of trouble. So it is fortunate Jerry was able to handle it on his own. And he's been playing a pretty decent map here so far on 21 kills. As I mentioned, at least this one more buy comes in, but this is costing them pretty much everything on the SAW side of things here. So if they lose this, then they're looking at an eco most likely, and then they're playing for overtime. So yeah, SAW can't really let that happen. Again, this is their map choice. We were expecting them to get the win. They've had shaky moments, but whenever they do come alive, it seems like they're a bit more commanding in the victories that they are able to find in comparison to what we've seen from forZe. As you said, I mean, they can't keep on winning rounds the way they have been on the side of forZe, just scraping them together. But I mean, it is working. They're winning 13-12 right now. Let's see. Another full gun round to test them. And a slightly different lean in the early moments of the default here. Looking like they're going to put heavy presence over towards the A side of things. Still throwing their utility, though, towards B and mid as they normally would, trying to keep it in the mind of SAW that things aren't really any different than they have been in every other round.
Say Pop's been good to them. 100% sure they want to commit just yet, but it has found success. They've been dealing with the anchor really nicely as well. A couple of scrambled rotations have just about brought SAW back into the A site. I have to think if they were up against rifles with good utility to back them, that would be a very different picture. They are still heavily leaning outside of that A site. Just the one in mid, Shalfie, crowd over towards B just to make sure there's no aggression. And here we go. Bomb on the back of Jerry will lead the charge. The flashes are decent. They're not going off the back of them, and that's just leaving them clean pickings. 3 quick kills for SAW. The timing's all over the shop on that execute. And now, well, the only thing that's keeping them going is the fact that the bomb hasn't been shown yet. As UJerks deals with Shalfie, Clax is spotted as well. And this goes from bad to worse. Clax with nightmarish angles to clear, and he's never going to be able to land that shot. We level things out at 13 apiece. And, well, as much as we were talking about the economy of SAW being on a knife's edge, it's not looking too pretty for forZe either.
No, you can get away with it a little bit more on the T side. So while a couple of players are going to be lacking nades, I was going to say they should have the firepower pretty evenly across the board. Crad could have went for the 8K. He decided actually to sacrifice down onto that Galil so that they have a few extra nades to work with. So understandable. But if either team loses, whichever team loses this round, rather, really is going to be left in a dark place facing down the barrel of either forcing or giving away and then playing for overtime. So it's not going to be easy, as UJerks with the nade does some serious damage, taking a kill on Crad, taking up, I believe, Zorti as well, and pretty much just forcing him straight back away from even trying for that trade frag, as the B push, in the meantime, does begin to come in. Story, he's been playing this angle time and time again, and he's so consistent at just picking off at least one.
He's done everything he needs to there, and that one, I think, was them hoping for a little bit more Zorti magic. They charged through in towards the Jaguar area, looking for that initial pick, and instead they were chipped away by mollies, chipped away by nades, and, well, a quick shot not quite landed by Zorte. The HE comes in to punish. And from there, again, a little bit disjointed, trying to creep their way up that ramp. Easy pickings for a couple of kills, and at this point, I mean, Zorte down on 16 HP, Shalfie, the only one with any health to work with, but they've got no map control, and this is a save. There's no other choice to it. You know your economy's in dire straits. You've got to keep some kind of firepower to prevent map point. You know, this is a map that we spoke fairly solidly, and I think you would have agreed with me if I'd said SAW should have taken this handily, and forZe put up a fight, but to go down in this manner is going to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, they've managed to just keep it scrappy at all points, really. Even when they had the 13-12 lead there, it didn't really feel like a firm hold on the game or anything, so they've never really had that comfort. So to put in such an effort here and just constantly be on the edge of their seat, if they fall short, I'm sure it's going to be pretty demoralizing. 2 weapons at least being saved. We've got to look on the bright side. It gives them something to try and fight back with, but is it going to be worthwhile? I mean, it pushes them likely into a force buy, which if that doesn't work, then they have very little to try and even keep themselves alive. So that's a bit of a rough situation to be in, really. Understandably, though, they will go for it.
It's now or never. Haven't got many other choices than to give it a crack, as you said. Despite the gaps in their firepower, they are going to try it. Nice movement. Story to post himself in towards that cubby, and again with the lack of utility, don't necessarily see forZe being able to flush him out cleanly. A refresh on the smoke as well, and that's the early mid control very firmly in the CT side's grasp. Shalfie trying to change that picture. It's just working around the edges of the smoke. Can't quite finish his meal though. Story just about holds on. He will burn. Shalfie will get the opening, and that's a man advantage now, but immediately UJerks is there to tip the scales back to level. Still scrapping over the mid control in the meanwhile as well. Shalfie does manage to find another, though. A little bit of over-aggression from the CT side. It's UJerks again to recover the situation before he, in two, pushes just a little bit too far. Man advantage there for forZe. B site wide open. And this round's turning into utter chaos, Dean.
Somehow you can never doubt the Tech 9 as Shalfie manages to catch the back of MUTiRiS. Mid-rotation in from mid, and really at this point it doesn't matter what they do as long as they do it together. I was a little bit worried with the health of 2 of the players, but it doesn't matter. Crad just holding the up angle, won't miss his shot. 14-14, the economy still there for a buy for SAW. It's only Story who's a little bit rough in terms of money. So the question is, will he get an op dropped over, maybe give an M4 in return and just go glass cannon himself? That way they get the weapons on everyone at least. Yes, the A1S on
cool to make.
Yeah, armor, sure. You can still get body armor if you wanted, so Is that the play? It looks to be.
It's a big call. He could get something, like you said, and that maybe is a little bit more as forZe do take the pause here. I think realizing what a golden opportunity they have given themselves. They break here, 1900 loss bonus. It would be forZe's map to lose. And they have just started to find some consistency on their T side. Isolating Story in towards mid seems to be the key to it. For aggression off the back of that, as SAW desperate for information, desperate for kills, just get a little too keen with it. This time the AWPer going to work his way over towards that B site instead, no longer interested in mid, trusting just the solo rifle, and it is more aggression here. Clean old push, UJUX gets the freebie. Jerry just couldn't see over the just sheer amount of fire on the floor. Crad trying to play the headshot angle on low HP, and Justice having none of it. And this round, well, it's been gutted very early on into proceedings. 2 quick kills, the aggression called on perfect timing. At this point, again, if you're forZe, what do? You've got a little bit of money coming into the bank in the next, but you concede map point to try and save, to try and give yourselves a chance at the OT? Or do you, as they look to throw yourselves into this fight one more time, trying to get something done? Clean trade from Zorte, but they need more than that. The man advantage still at 2, still very heavily in Saw's favor. With 50 seconds left, forZe only just starting to work their way out of that mid control.
Yeah, I mean, putting their smoke down now maybe it could have been useful to get into the bomb site itself, but they need to try and limit the info before they actually make this commitment. And looks like it's going to be the A split. At least given 2 angles of attack, but they've got 2 players on the immediate bomb site to deal with, and then a Tordu can rotate pretty quickly from the sniper's nest. And with the bomb being dropped now, there's nothing that can be done by Shalfie. He can't even make it over to recover it anymore. So an AK to be saved once again, and it's going to be forZe who are left fighting for an overtime. But now that they're going to have a slightly iffier buy, we might see them again kind of let loose slightly, which is where they tend to thrive once the chaos comes out. You know, SAW are the slow, methodical team. They're the maybe slightly better team in terms of the chemistry. So when they're given the time and the room to make their own calls on the CT side about where they want to counter, address and such for info and for kills, they will make that happen. And a lot of the time, forZe are just split up playing a default, so they have a player alone, and it's easy pickings for SAW.
This is a rough old spot to be in. As you said, just very quickly, these rounds are sort of slipping away from forZe. A couple of quick picks. Handful of rifles, a tech, a deagle. It's a very similar buy that we have seen find success for forZe. It certainly isn't completely out of the realm of possibility. They can get something going here, but it's going to take something special to start it. Early presence heavy, leaning again over towards that B site, hoping to try and find something as Shalfie once more keen to try and isolate this initial fight in towards middle, but it's a rough old one for him to take, and he's having to play round smokes, which never makes it easier. UJUX tagged up though, and they're going to charge off the back of it into the B site. They go, and it's the Tex. Crad with a quick double, looking for more blood, and he dinks up MUTiRiS as well. Desperately trying to get something going for the team, but it's not going to happen. forZe, they've done it. They've got their site. They've got their round, and they are going to force the OT surely here. Roman trying to work his way back, but they are having none of it. We are level as we head into the overtimes at 15 apiece, and what a recovery from forZe. forZe hanging on in there, Dean. They do have to start on the T side anew, however, and that may well be their undoing. It's not been a T side that's been consistently successful, but they've scrapped and they've fought, and they've kept themselves in this one.
Yes, somehow. Honestly, it's been quite surprising because every time it seems like they're down and out, they get a round or two out of nowhere and just keep the lifeline in play. Will it keep on happening here in the overtime, though? I mean, they've definitely begun to run dry on fresh ideas, but sometimes you don't need fresh ideas. You just need a few things to go your way. And with Jerry catching the creep forward on mid, that gives them an early advantage. Unfortunately, he ends up taking a ton of damage in return now. So just gets a bit too over-aggressive around the cave. Zorti finds a pick on that op as well in the meantime on the A-bomb site. And where was this in regulation?
It's always the way. As soon as overtime comes, it's just a renewed sense of energy, sense of commitment, and it's working brilliantly in this opener for forZe. A few quick kills, the round is done before you can even start to think about it. That's a 16th on the board, and I think it's going to be these early T-side rounds that may well decide it. Both teams struggled. I would say forZe on the eye test maybe a little more so to get those T-side rounds strung together, but both with CT rifles look solid. So these are the kind of rounds that could really start to swing it, and that's a really nice start as well, as you said. Not something we really saw in regulation from forZe, but able to just pick at the edges of this CT side defense, and it's going to be something a little different here from SAW. Run boost of Story to get him into that B lane to try and take the fight to forZe, and that's exactly what he does. Jerry goes down early, and it's the man advantage. Make it 2 through the smoke for SAW. Exactly what was needed to respond after the previous round.
Yeah, I mean, just right in the face of forZe, a reminder of how most of that previous half had gone. Crad gets caught creeping up the ramp, and yeah, I mean, this is the issue. This is the style that they're playing right now on the side of forZe. In that previous round, they all pushed. They pretty much all found success, and because of that, it looked like one of the easiest rounds we'd seen throughout this entire map so far. And then in this round, things just don't work out the same, and they get caught and are taking an easy 1v1s pretty much. I mean, 0 points of damage even put towards any of those players. Rough position for Klax and Shalfie to be in a 2-on-5. No control, no info either. Roman finds contact in just a moment against the Yopper. Oh, gets tagged down to 9.
Ooh.
I'll force him back. He has a teammate in here at least, which likely won't be expected. And indeed, Shalfie trying to hunt that kill ends up just leaving himself exposed. So Klax last standing. He's been spotted as well. Well, he will get that first kill on Just. There shouldn't really be anything else. 1 or 2 more kills max, and even then that would be too much for SAW to give away. So they're not really going to do anything other than allow the op to post up and wait.
Clean stuff from SAW, and this is the swing that we've seen throughout this game, back and forth. Neither team, for any real concerted period, have been able to wrestle control and find consistency. It's been very scrappy on map 1. I think if forZe can find a second T-side round, they back themselves to finish it. If not, we very well could be going around this roundabout once more. Both teams looking for a sense of direction, as again, it's heavy B presence to start things off from forZe. 3 players down that ramp. A couple of flashes to try and get themselves into some early angles. All 5 players, in fact, now queuing up outside of that B site. Only 1 in their minds at the moment. Timings could well decide it. It's just smoke. He's going to try and work around this. Spamming down, not quite able to find the connection. Another spam does start to tickle away at the feet of Klax. Boost up to try and give Zorti an angle onto long. Thus far, not spotting anything out. At this point, well, forZe are committed completely and utterly over towards this B site. They've really got no idea what's going on anywhere else on the map. So it's got to work. If it's going to get them around, it's got to be now. Flash goes out. They start to work their way in towards Dig. Crad has snuck his way up to the side, but a wild old swing from MUTiRiS puts him down, and now they've got to get in quickly. Jerry able to find 1, but he's losing teammates left, right, and center. Zorte yet to find the trade he's after, but he will just nab it. Edge of the smoke. Keeps it competitive in the 3-on-3 as Jerry continues to thread the needle and grabs the double in CT. Neither player expecting him up short, and that should be a 17th. That should be the coveted second T-side round, unless Roman can really pull off the impossible, but he's not checked his corners. It's job done, and Shalfie is having a little bit of BM with it as well.
Yeah, and again, they managed to thrive in the chaos. This really does seem to be where forZe make the most happen when it comes down to those quicker calls where they're all just... where it's not allowing really for SAW rather to slow things down and have a discussion among themselves about what they need to do. When it comes down to the individual players who can just make their calls, make their plays, and react off of it. And they seem to come out on top. A little bit harder to do that now on the CT side, in fairness, but the CT side did look stronger during regulation, so I'm expecting things now to hopefully continue in that direction. 12,500 is the start money, is it?
Yeah, they've been toying with it a little bit. It seems to be a happy medium between the you can buy everything you want 16k and the you lose 2, you're ecoing 10.
Yeah.
Seems to sort of slot in between with the, if you're careful about it, you will always be able to buy, but you can't just get everything you want all the time. So it's a nice place to be.
And what sort of CT side we're going to see from forZe now, because we had a very slow first half in this map, if I recall correctly, with SAW playing out defaults and, well, not really having a great time doing so initially until the half kind of went on and they got a feel for it, I suppose. So I wonder if that's something they're going to need to do once again. Can't really afford to with such a limited number of rounds. Really damage goes the way of forZe initially, as well.
Yeah. Just slowly working their way in towards that control. There is a counter prod by Jerry, but nothing found. Mid lost. And a heavy old lean by this CT side over towards B. 3 players with 2 in mid. The A site abandoned entirely. Timing could well decide it. A minute left. They're going to charge through the smoke, and UJerks gets the better of Jerry. That's the B site now under siege, and MUTiRiS looking to catch a timing through smokes of his own. Shalfie on the backstab, but he's been red. Zorte gets 1, but now they know the backstab is gone. Do they look to back out? The CT side have to consider the possibility, and they start to scramble players away from the site at the worst possible moment. 2 quick kills. The round is done. Zorte will look to save his AWP, and we will level things out at 17 apiece. This game just keeps on giving, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem like either team can really get a hold of it, rather. It's the same in regulation. Every time one team looked like they were getting into the lead and they had all the advantages going their way, somehow the other team mustered up the strength to just pull around out of nowhere, and it's a little bit easier in overtime because they have the money, but damn, okay. A situation for Zorte right there. Don't know how he's alive. He probably doesn't know either, but the fortune of the no-scope was on his side this time around. I don't think he's going to live much longer. No, he will not. Roman takes him out. Maybe he could have bailed back towards main if he really wanted to ensure the save, but it's not too big of a deal. As you said, while the economy doesn't allow them to go crazy with buys, and they could be in trouble if they were to lose this round, for now anyway, the op comes out again and all the rifles will be found. It's 17-17. SAW, it doesn't really seem like they're having a slow start on the T side this time around either.
Exactly what the doctor ordered. Early success, a little bit of pressure relieved. An opportunity now. Try something a little different. Story posted down that B ramp. Crad wants the aggression, wants the fight. Missed shots from both. Utility at the very least. Just tickling away at the AWP's health. Nothing more than that, as again, it's that parallel of forZe living in the chaos and SAW demanding order. Very slow in these initial moments. Just now starting to work their way into Jaguar control, starting to push the issue. Hoping perhaps again to draw that re-aggression from Jerry where they've had success previously punishing. Instead, it is that mid-control, and well, Clax, very isolated on the crack angle, just playing for info and no more. Will be able to retreat, but now they're looking to start swarming him. Donut control taken, and SAW know they've got huge portions of the map to work with here. And they know that forZe really don't have a clue what's going on. You can see from the rotations, they're a little bit lost. Shalfie's had to commit to mid, and it leaves just Crad and Jerry over on B for the time being. Crad on the off angle with a lot to do here, but he can't find anything. UJerks again just can opening their way into the B bomb site for SAW. And as MUTiRiS finds a second, it goes from bad to worse. forZe can't get anywhere near this site now. 3 quick kills, and for Clax and Shalfie, well, surely you're asking the impossible. They know they've been picked off left, right, and center, and it's a flawless round for SAW. 18 on the board. Where was this T-side to start things off? It's looking stellar.
I don't know. Surely this is it. I mean, just strong defaults being played. There's nothing crazy. Fairly standard execute even onto the bomb site, but they just play out the early stage in their default to try and get someone into a strong position. Works perfectly for MUTiRiS to cut off rotations, and the players entering the bomb site have a lot of success as well. So really everything went the way that it could have. It went positive rather for SAW in that round, the way that it could have. We mentioned the money wouldn't be an issue until it came to this final round, and it's only Zorti who actually is struggling because he was buying the ops, of course. But even one player being left on a weaker weapon at this stage is a bit of a hit to the confidence, I would imagine.
It's just a glaring difference, right, that you can look to exploit. Just leverage that slight gap. See what you can get from it. One golden opportunity for SAW, otherwise we go again. His side has been blindingly successful so far. Just playing slow, careful, considered CS has got them the picks they're after. It's like the same old story again here. Early utility over the top, chipping away, but not much else for the CT side as SAW just set up their base camp in towards that B lane. A little bit of passive towards mid. And this is where they'll sit. This is where they'll start to slowly scale their way into a site.
Yeah, will it be B? Because there's a pretty heavy stack here for forZe at the moment. Still a ton of time, obviously, but SAW do have heavy presence outside this area, at least in the early stages. I think they were expecting the aggression to come down because they weren't even really throwing much utility or anything. Definitely more so, I think, as a reaction to what they're expecting from forZe. And in the meantime, they start moving for the mid control. Oh, okay, MUTiRiS, I was wondering what the hell, he was just spinning crazy. Had two players to try and deal with. Thankfully had the help of Justin. Well, they do actually manage to force the second player back as well. Zort, I believe he took a small bit of damage. Doesn't even have a weapon. He wasn't able to recover it off his teammate's body.
Yeah, this is nightmare. Nightmare now for the CT side. They've got no idea what's going on. And again, SAW just cut all contact, give them nothing to work with, nothing to think about. MUTiRiS lurks his way into the A site. Zorte at least good for one on that Deagle, but he needs so much more. And yeah, the CT side have no idea. They've given up B. Crad will get the pick, sure, but the bomb will go down. And at this point, the afterplants are well set. They know exactly what is coming their way. And forZe, well, they've got no choice. They've got to give this one a try. Crad with the movement, at the very least, will get the faster approach. He's split from his team, and the utility is not going quietly. Just tucks himself into the side. Clean headshot for one, and Zorte charging through a smoke is desperation. It will be SAW who take their map pick. It's skin on their teeth stuff. It took them the distance here on Ancient, but they do get it done, and I think that's going to be critical to their chances of winning this series, Dean.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm kind of surprised it ended up that way, that it even continued back and forth for as long as it did. It seemed like going into the second half that they had found their footing, as you said, and that they were going to be able to take things relatively easy. But no, it's never that simple. We know forZe are incredible players.